Welcome to Sahara TV once again, and with us in the studio today are two co-founders of a charity organization based in Australia. And let me start with the introductions. First, we have Mr. Odion Alofokai. He's the co-founder and CEO of the children charity organization Health4Kids. Mr. Odion, it's a pleasure having you on Sahara TV.
Thank you very much.
We also, with us also in the studio, virtually interestingly, is also the co-founder, and she's the project coordinator of Health4Kids, Madam Modupe Alofokai, also known as Dupsy. It's a pleasure having you on Sahara TV, Madam Dupe.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us, and we're very glad that you have the time to join us today.
Thank you so much. Health4Kids was established in Auckland, New Zealand in 2015 as a non-profit organization and has since then spread to Australia, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Zambia respectively. Health4Kids' dream was fueled because of gaps in the community initiative, particularly around primary school, children's health, and well-being. It's interesting to note that Health4Kids has been working in collaboration with community primary health care to create health awareness and provide educational materials that support a healthy lifestyle for young school children. Let's get this started. Madam Modupe, let me start with you. How did it all begin?
This organization mission, it's actually based on principle of love. In 1 John 3, 16, 18. It's all about, which is a clear, the reason for man existing. It's about actually giving back to the community. So I think we visited a school in New Zealand. We will always be thinking all the time that developed world things are really perfect and everything. But visiting schools in New Zealand, we come to understand that a lot of other children to struggle in terms of getting necessary things to school, sometimes lunch box, sometimes shoe, proper clothing, and based on this, we initiate this organization, and we started and we get registered, and most especially thinking about how a lot of students run around and lose a lot of electrolyte, and we think, let's hydrate children first. Let's start a project called hydration, and we started that in Auckland. It was a success, going from school to school, campaigning about the importance of hydration, and giving water bottle to students who won't bring their water bottle, or supply water bottle to schools, just to give to students that didn't bring their water bottle. So all doing that, we could see the reaction of the community towards that it was great. And even in school, the teachers, they really do appreciate that, we come up with this kind of initiative that actually help children to increase water intake and discourage freezing drink. So from there, we think of our own community, how we can also bring this sort of thing back home in Nigeria. And I visited Nigeria sometime 2000 and I think it will be 2017, or who do you know? I visited, and I remembering visits quite a lot of schools, both in Abuja, Lagos State, and Warri, and in Delta State, and also in Ondo State. And I could see a lot of gap in respect to healthcare system and how reaction to and healthcare are in schools. So that leads us to increase services and other things, and we can add to it to make it really possible and in Nigeria. So we register in Nigeria in that year.
Great, great. Now, let me come to you, Mr. Odion. If I were to ask you, how will you describe Health for Kids to those who haven't heard of it?
Okay. So basically, I would say it's a vibrant charitable organization that strives to help children in need through their educational pursuits from primary school, basically now, and hopefully we'll be looking at secondary school. So in one word, it's a charity that strives to help the needs in children that cannot afford to meet their educational goals.
It's quite amazing. Let me get back to you, Mrs. Motukwe. What have been the most rewarding parts for you so far?
Well, the rewarding part is seeing children happy and seeing them that you're making really great impact, especially how they view themselves. Because some children who are not able to go to school with school sandal, suddenly they are happy that they get school sandal, they are happy that they get their books, they are happy that they're able to wear appropriate school uniform, not the one that is already torn. So it's amazing. And also seeing the teachers reaction towards what we are doing, it means that things are working really well. I remember one of the teachers in Benue State said to me that a child, just as we deliver our first aid box, a child was injured and hit his head on something. Quite a lot of blood were coming out, but because they are able to grab things that is inside the first aid box, that really, really helped till they get to the health center. So that is amazing to hear that it's useful for a better purpose. So it's rewarding seeing people using our materials and seeing people benefiting from it.
It's quite amazing. In fact, seeing some of the videos of children's faces, how they get lighted up, and it really describes so much how rewarding it could have been. I could imagine how it has been for you personally. Let me get back to you, Mr. Odion. I know you work with quite a lot of people. Professional team members. You talked about nurses, mental health professionals. Madam Modupe earlier talked about the teachers themselves. You talked about social workers and engineers. Now, what sort of impact does your organization, Health for Kids, have on the people involved?
Okay, like if we're talking about the volunteers and the teachers that we regularly have dealings with, so I would say that they feel fulfilled because at the end of the day, these are kids that are primary goal to help, but we then use these volunteers as teachers as a tool to helping. So when you are able to channel that love towards a child, like Dupsy said earlier on in John, the book of John, First John, where we say we should lay hands together in love. When we lay those hands together in love through our volunteers and through the teachers and parents to those kids, they actually feel a sense of fulfillment and gratitude and joy because they have been able to help just a child, because they know that that child will be so grateful and that will have an impact on the child's life forever. So it's a signs of happiness, gratitude, and fulfillment.
This is interesting to note. Now, getting back to Mrs. Modupe Tupsi, I'm sure this will be quite interesting to know. And a lot of people would like to know, how do you find the children, the schools and the communities that you decide to work with?
Oh, quite a lot of the children, they are quite interesting because they come to you, they connect with you. Sometimes we go to school here and we also go to sporting events here. You know, by the time you set up and you start giving them this educational materials, reason they should drink more water. You see, they are all around you. They are thanking you. Thank you, madam. Thank you, ma. We're very grateful. We are appreciative. And equally, they are teachers. They knows that normally those things will not happen without somebody else coming from outside to take that gap. So it's really amazing that both children and the teacher do appreciate and they know the importance of what you are doing. So it's amazing. And in the community as well, when people know, like recently we just had a letter from one of the I think OD might get me really right on this, is athletic academy in Australia here. They just send us a letter how we put partnership with them because they have been on events that we have been. And as a result, they see the impact, they see what that can help in a community. And they go around to actually um, train young athletics children. So they're writing to us, can we really a lot to Nigeria?
Oh,
Sorry, I think I have a network issue
Yeah.
there.
okay.
All right, now I think we could go ahead. There was just a slight network issue there. Let me come to you, Mr. Odion. Madam Dupsy actually dealt on this when she was commenting about how you
Yeah.
people find children. So, I mean, part of what I got there was that sometimes the schools have to write to your organization. Is there a selection process for determining what schools, what communities actually benefit from your work?
Um, yes, there is. First of all, we have volunteers on ground, and these volunteers actually come from different communities, as you can imagine. So we start from there. We ask them to go around their community. You will find in every community a child that is in need. There's no doubt about that. So our basic criteria is that the child must be unable to meet their educational requests or demands, fund their way through primary school. The key focus now is still on primary schools because we feel we want to groom the children. Later on, we can start talking about secondary school. So we then ask them to go into that community, look for a school that they feel, it must be a government school, first of all, a school they feel that the children are struggling in that school. And like I said at the beginning, you will find in any community children or schools that they are struggling. And once they found that school, we then interact with the school principal and say, we are a charity, we want to help. We cannot help every children because we don't have the funds, but we'll start with two by way of, which Dupsy will talk about in terms of project later on. But then we start off by encouraging the kids to drink water by donating water bottles, which is the hydration project Dupsy talked about. When we give them that water bottles, we then introduce the scholarship program and other programs that we have. So we use the water bottle as an icebreaker into the schools. And while we're doing that, we're also telling the volunteers to keep their eyes on the ground. And it's easy to pick a child. The uniform might be tattered. They may not have shoes in their legs. They might be just observe. And based on that observation, we then take it to the next level and see how we can help that child, either a boy or a girl, through that year of school. And hopefully with funds, we can continue to help later on. So that's basically how we scout for children and schools and communities that we decide we want to partner with.
That's quite amazing. I'm sure it would have been rosy and it would have been easy getting this all done. And you must have had certain challenges on your way. Could you briefly tell us what are some of the challenges that you faced so far? I mean, let's get that with you first, Mr. Odion.
Yeah, I think, look, and Lucy will say more about that later. One of the challenges you face, of course, is the schools themselves. We'll have to then write a letter to the school. In some cases, you will have to write a letter through the state educational board. And I'll say, look, we're just helping these kids. We're not asking for money. So they'll say we should write a letter, then they will have to approve the letter, then we'll have to go back. So this back and forth communication with the respective educational bodies in each state is a challenge. And then another challenge, obviously, again, is the volunteers on ground. They are not being paid. So needing to get from one point to the other might be an issue. For instance, when you had cases of the Fulani headsmen, so we have to be wary about their health and safety. So we're cautious about sending them to a place where there'll be issues regarding their health and safety. So those are challenges we'll face. Other challenges, again, is like I mentioned, if we have the funds, we can do more. But we don't have the funds, but we have the heart to help children.
That's quite amazing. I mean, come to think of all the bureaucratic bottleneck that you had to contend with. Madam Dugbe, I'll need your intervention here too. What are some of the challenges that you have to contend with, and how are you able to break through these barriers and these bureaucratic bottlenecks?
It's amazing to see that you have the heart to help. And it's equally challenging to see that you need fund, you need the school or government approval as well to enable you do anything in any school. So waiting for all this sometimes can be a really huge challenge. Like, you want to do this, the volunteer, maybe they might have taken time off to actually go to the school, but the approval is not coming from school or it's not coming from government. It's really, really, really quite. And money, again, is funds. We need more funds to be able to reach out to more community, not just a few that we are dealing with at this point. So all those challenges comes on the way, but if you really truly, sometimes I do tell some of the volunteers, I say it's not, when you see pastor, they go to the to church to preach, it's not only pastor alone that minister. You as a person, you're a minister because you are actually going out there to minister to the need of those who really need you. So in consideration to that, that will keep you going. Like, you're not doing this for somebody, but you're doing it because God has laid it in your heart to do. So those can be really tough at times, but we knows that we're not serving human being. We are doing it because God has choose to use us to do such things.
That would be rewarding. Mr. Odion, back to you.
Yeah.
You've delved a little bit on this earlier on, but let's just put it in proper perspective. Could you describe the issues of child health issues, especially in developing countries like Nigeria, for example, and Cameroon, that you're also working with, and the work that you do in order to support affected children and their families, emphasis on their families.
Okay, yeah, I know Dupsy will pop in here at some say, but basically, because she was on ground in Nigeria to deal with that, but basically, look, the health issues the children face that I have one-on-one, well, not one-on-one, how I have experienced is that because they cannot provide or fund their educational desires in schools, they have this poverty-looking appearance where the priority is to eat, not necessarily to get educated. So the focus is now on survival rather than on trying to combine that. So where we come in is, like I said, we can't meet every need. So we then try to take some of the weight off the parents by providing support for the children, thereby, freeing the parents off on all that kind of a responsibility. So the parents can then focus on the children's feeding and all that. So now with the families, I believe that from what we have seen, when we help the children, the families feel happy, like you see from the parents that are joyous and happy. And that alone, it's medicine on its own. It's healing to the body. So they feel elevated, they feel happy that we have helped their children. That would then help them to be more settled in their homes. Because when we started the charity, we felt we could help both parents and children at the same time by practically visiting the homes. We then realized quickly that it was going to be a very enormous task. We then said, why don't we then focus on the children and see how we can help the few we can? And then if we can help more, we help more. By helping the children, I believe through our charity, we're also helping the families, because we've taken one weight or two weights of that family. So that's how I believe that we've been able to tackle the issues of health and health-related issues. Now, before I talk about the other one, I would like Dupsy to come in because she was on ground in Nigeria in 2018 when she went around and did some health checks, both on teachers, I think some parents, and the like. So I'd like her to pop in there because she will give a very, up-to-date version of events.
All right, Dupsy, over to you.
Oh, yes. Health4Kids Action is practically aimed to prevent children from major health issues such as infectious disease, mental health disorder, obesity, diabetes, or heart-related issues. So when you're looking at this, what you will be focusing on more is to see why, how and where you can actually help the children to achieve not having all this disease when they get to adult age. First, you have to actually think about the teachers. Are they able to attend school, the teacher themselves? Are they all right? So that really give me focus in also checking blood pressure for teacher, checking their sugar level, because if you are sick, you cannot even come to school to teach students, and it's going to affect children. So in a way, if they can put this thing in rolling, like yearly check for teacher, their health and well-being, which is so totally absent in Nigeria. Putting nurses in the school as well, I think is really, really important, because there are some little wounds that will happen in school that nurses will have been able to address it. Then getting home, it degenerates to become infected. where children will now be running temperature as a result of infection, and as a result, they cannot even attend school. So all this little thing, if one can intervene into it really quickly, like encouraging students to drink more water, to actually make them hydrate. Yeah, so that will really help them to concentrate in school, and they will be able to listen well in school and do well. So all these issues, sometimes we neglect it. But by the time we want to address it, it's already get to a disease, which is totally hard to address when it becomes a disease. So focus should be more on addressing intervention, all this little thing, government putting teachers, nurses in school, working with teachers. This is how it happened here. Like here, we don't have to be thinking we want to go and donate first aid box. We don't have to be thinking in health, teachers' health will be affected because they know they need to see their GP. But in developing world like Nigeria, Cameroon, all this, we are still lacking behind. And it's making things really hard when children get to that age of getting to adult age. They already have one disease or the other, or one illness or the other, that might later in life result into problem. Nobody check, give their what do they call it in Nigeria? Immunization.
Yeah.
Before, it used to be really regular in Nigeria, people get their vaccine, but these days no one even attend to all that. So it's something that needs to be really considered, and that is the reason for our project of first aid. The reason we are teaching children on how to have their personal hygiene, and we are also looking at and doing mouth hygiene or oral hygiene in future, just for the children to know that you need to put this on board. And when you give all this to children at a very young age, they just romance it because you give it to them at the age they are getting to be aware of themselves. So they put it on and they remember.
Quite interesting. That's quite interesting.
Important, yeah.
Now, Odion, let me get your view. I mean, you guys have actually talked a lot about what you do. Beyond getting the children hydrated, getting first aid boxes and other issues, what projects have you successfully implemented?
Okay. The projects we have successfully implemented cut across this. The first one that we have implemented across 4 countries, New Zealand, Australia, Cameroon, and Nigeria, is we have given out water bottles to kids. That's a project on its own to encourage hydration. The second project we have executed is we have actually given out, we call it student support scheme. We have actually given out like scholarship, which contains books, shoes, bags, and payment of PTA fees if the need arises to children across many states in Nigeria and as well as in the Cameroons. Okay, then the other project we have done, which Dukes has also mentioned about, we decided to donate first aid boxes to schools because we feel that the nurses are not present. So if we give first aid box, if there's any injury, hopefully the injury can be controlled to avoid infection through the use of the first aid box. And while we're deliberating last year, we also realized that we're in a COVID situation. We now decided, okay, why don't we also encourage children in schools to have hygienic hands. So we invented, or well, I say we designed a handmade water basin in Nigeria from jerry cans and wood and all that, and we donated to different schools. So they will have water and they will have soap, but their hands won't touch the components. So to wash their hands to avoid contamination. So that was executed in most states in Nigeria. We've not been able to execute that in the Cameroon and Zambia. We'll talk about those two countries later on. Then the next project that we're going on, we're looking at is what Dupes talk about, the mouth hygiene. So those are the key projects that we have executed across more than 5 states in Nigeria as we speak, and some part of Cameroon.
Thank you so much for analyzing that. We're about running out of time. Let me ask you, Madam Modupe, how would you like to develop health for kids in the future? Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, we like to actually see ways we can partnership with individual stakeholders in Nigeria. Just like we have done in New Zealand before, partnership with some stakeholder who donate things directly from their company to support kids, especially the kids' lunch box. We have written to Federal Ministry of Health. They have had Zoom meeting with us just like this, and they're happy to partnership with us. But they're looking into us doing registration with Federal Ministry of Budget and Planning, which they too have recently, about 4 or 5 days ago, given us some temporary permission to partnership with them. But they will still need to do some security check and all that, which they are currently doing to enable us partnership with them. So if we can get stakeholder, individual who see great thing in what we are doing to support, we will be able to expand more, and we will be able to carry on more other schools in terms of what we can do to help more children in Nigeria. So because everything is roaming around money, funding. And beside that, it is important because we are not going as a capacity of healthcare personnel. We are going as a volunteer. So as a result, we need the support of the community healthcare center to actually take that role of health care. Currently in our first aid board, we cannot put anything medication. We can only put things like things they can use in cleaning wounds and all that. We cannot even put paracetamol. Zero, we cannot do it because we are not going in that capacity. We're going as a volunteer, and that is what I keep telling all the volunteers in Nigeria. We cannot do it. You cannot give anything advice about health apart from what we have already put in place for you to talk in schools. So all this, we need the community healthcare center to partnership with us for us to be able to actually impart in this health children healthcare. So that's where we're thinking. If we get more funding and get government involved, we will be able to do more better things. It happened here. A lot of volunteers that work with government NGO here as well. It's not like something that is not done. It's done here. Government cannot do the whole lot of work, but if NGO that are credible are coming in to take a slot in supporting things happening, government should be able to fund such things and partnership with them. And that is what we are asking for.
That's amazing. That's interesting. Your final thoughts on these two, Sodio. How would you like to develop Health for Kids in the future?
Yeah, just to add to what Dupsy has said, to make it an organization where we, most children in Nigeria can come to us and we can meet their educational needs from primary to secondary school. And we can then take that format across countries in Africa because we have a heart to get to a stage where you can go online and say, okay, I'll fill in a request or do a competition and you can win a scholarship for maybe 5 years or 10 years, as the case may be, is where we want to get to. But basically, to be on the lips of children in Nigeria and across Africa, that is a charity that you can go to with a heart to helping children. And when you get there, you can always be rest assured that you'll get what you're looking for.
Mr. Odion, Madam Dupsy, thank you so much for your insightful analysis. And I quite appreciate what you guys are doing. And I believe a lot of our viewers really appreciate what you're doing. And we hope that you continue to grow with more strength in offering this kind of help. It's been a rewarding experience, and it's been a privilege to have this kind of conversation with you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
And have a
much.
pleasant
Nice
day.
having you. Yeah.